Amazing. We are live now, and we have with us 11 people as of now. More will be joining. So it's great to see all of you. And I have, first of all, welcome to this episode 6 of LinkedIn with Charcha. Thank you so much for loving this series. And I have very special guests with me tonight, two very amazing founders, and I'd like to introduce them both. So, starting with Krusha. Krusha is the director and head of Asia at Sociable. She's the co-founder at the Pink Thread, and the most amazing part about her is that she is the Social Samosa Superwoman 2021. She has been awarded with that. So that's a great, great achievement, and she's an amazing writer as well. So welcome to the show, Krisha.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And coming to Mythili, she is the co-founder at Mad Marketing Media, founder and CEO at the Blink for Flamingo Clothing. And she is an amazing orator. I mean, you must have come across her videos. So the way she articulates her thoughts is just amazing. Welcome to the show, Mythili.
Thank you so much.
Amazing, amazing. So, I mean, we all are very curious to know. I've done my research from my part as well, through your LinkedIn descriptions, but would love to know your perspective on your journeys. How did you like? I know both of you started pretty young, like at the age of 17, 18, you just started working and you started building your careers. So, would love to know your perspective, starting from you, Krisha.
Okay, sure. I was just going to tell Metli, do you want to go ahead? But start. Uh, I started working at 19. But before that, so I don't know if we have any CAs in the audience, but I was studying CA. And
Okay.
I love studying, which is a weird thing to say, but I've always loved studying. So I enjoyed CA during the time that I was studying. Uh,
Right.
but when my exam was getting close, like the second level, I realized that articleship was the next thing to do, which is basically the internship during CA. And I knew I would really not like it. So I don't know what I did, but I decided to give all the papers except the last one so that I don't clear it because I wouldn't be able to write the wrong answers because I'd
Right.
studied hard for them. So I actually didn't give the last paper just so that people would not then tell me that okay, now you've passed and now just do 3 more years of articleship and now then just give your final CA because I was not ready to make that commitment. I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do after that. So very honestly, if you ask me literally what I did after a few days of not knowing what I'm feeling,
Right.
I called Just Dial to
Hmm.
ask for company names of wedding companies and event companies because I thought, okay, I like weddings. Maybe that's what I'll do.
Right.
And I got an event company. And also, I was looking for something that was not too far. So I was actually, my other condition was that it was close to home so that I didn't
Right.
have to travel a lot. I always hated that. So great work from home right now. But I went to the event company, didn't really enjoy it, but luckily it had a sister company that was doing public relations, PR.
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, and the boss was amazing. Still friends with her. She was the first female, that I saw really, really killing it at work at that age. So she was my first actual real role model. I
Right.
worked there for about 2.5 years, and it was a dream for anyone at my age that time because I worked with music concerts like A.R. Rahman, Swedish House Mafia. So I wasn't really thinking about the future a lot. But
Hmm.
again, when that was ending, I knew this is not something I want to do forever. So I
Right.
decided, what next? I joined a social media startup because I thought that's something I should learn.
Yeah.
I did a lot of big projects there. Again, when I was getting a promotion there and that was ending, I thought if I take it, then this is what I'm climbing onto. And again, that didn't seem like what I wanted to do for the coming years. So I decided I wanted to study further.
Hmm.
And I went and then went to Singapore and studied my master's in international business. While I was there halfway through, I was like, okay, what am I going to do when this is over? I could go back to India and, look for jobs, maybe in the marketing field. That's the first thing that came to mind because I love writing and, the creative field.
Right.
Um, but I had a lot of French colleagues in my course, and I felt like I wanted to go abroad and, expand my horizons even more. So
Right.
somehow, after applying for 6 months and not knowing French, I got a job at Sociable in Paris. This
Right.
was a long, long time ago, about 5.5 years ago.
Right.
And then I worked with them in Paris. 6 months there. Again, when that was ending, I was like, okay, do I want to grow here? That was one option. But I just felt like the product, internal communication, advocacy, had so much scope in India. While we were not ready at that point, I knew we will be. At least I felt like we will be. So I made a
Right.
case to bring the company to India, and I brought it with me in 2017 and started the company here. And now that's been my journey with Sociable ever since. We've been growing the team and the business here since, and I'm still with them. So that's my career, sociable, corporate side of the story. I'm going to stop there for now and let Mythili speak.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Oh, congratulations. That's very, very cool.
Amazing.
Thank
I'm
you.
definitely going to break that and give like ask you questions on that because that's
It
a
also has nice hindsight. I'm going to say that. As you can see, I didn't really know what comes next. So
yeah, exactly. And that's a great journey. I mean, you started so early, and now you have so much experience and so much diversified experience. So definitely a lot to learn for people who are watching this, and I'll definitely come back on that. Now coming to you, Metli, would love to know your perspective on your journey. How's it been like for you?
I think one thing that Krusha and I have in common is that I also tried doing CA, but then again, I think,
Wow.
yeah. So, but I think I tried for less than a week. Like, I got the books, I opened the up, and I was like, yeah, this is not happening. And I gave it to a friend.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I actually kind of started when I was 17. So I always knew that I wanted to do business because I wanted to, have my own thing. So I
Right.
knew that early on. What I also knew early on is that I liked fashion. So I started Pink Flamingo when I was 17 because it seemed like the next obvious step. You like fashion, you like business, start a fashion brand. Like it was kind of right there. So that's what I
Right.
did. So when I started, like I said, I was just 17. So this was me and my mom. She was helping me out. We used to sell our label in flea markets and things like that. And then eventually when I made enough money and learned a little bit thing or two about digital marketing, I opened up an e-commerce store, and that's kind of how I got into marketing and business and all of that. After
Right.
that, I joined, I was doing this on the side after I graduated from college. And then I joined a startup that was in digital marketing, which was great because it was a small side startup. So I kind of got to see, up close and personal how things work, how you get clients, how you hire people, and, basically everything. So I
Right.
did that. And then I did that for about 9 months. I quit. And then I started freelancing and
Mhm.
doing Pink Flamingo, full time. And then the pandemic happened. And that's when, for a couple of months, I was in a state of shock. I was like, okay, so I quit my job to do Pink Flamingo full time. And now I could not physically, sell because my, house and the warehouse was in a red zone or like a containment zone. So I could not physically ship out anything. And
Right.
also, like just before the pandemic, we decided let's do festive wear, and obviously, nobody wanted to wear festive clothes during a global pandemic. At least back then, because it was still so new, people were like, "What is happening?" Um,
Right.
but yeah, so that's what happened, and then so I said, okay, you know what? Let me just start freelancing again full time. What do I do? I have all the time in the world. I can't go out. What do I do? So that's what I did, and then. I hired a person, like just an intern, and that's kind of how Mad Marketing Media came into existence. Like I didn't think too much when I hired an intern. I was like, okay, lots of clients, a lot of work. I'm not able to do it myself, and I don't want to do it all myself. So I hired
Mm.
an intern. She's still with us. She's great. Um, and that's kind of how it started. So this was about I want to say 16 months ago, and now we're a team of 20. We work with clients in about 17, 18 countries.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a little bit about me.
it's so
Amazing.
impressive.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
amazing. And a lot of common things between you both, as I already told that. I also saw one line on your description, Metli, that when you were 10, you had three things in mind: business, money, and fashion.
Yeah.
So that's quite impressive that you had that clarity right from
I don't
the
think I did.
right from the start, and you both started working on your kind of skills in the direction that you're going. So that's amazing. And to all the people who are watching this, feel free to share your questions related to, as you already saw, we have a lot of diversity in experience. So, questions related to marketing, personal branding, if you want to know something on that, if you want to know any kind of perspective of being a founder, you just comment down and I'll try to take it up in between the conversation. So, now, coming to the first question that I have, and it's a very unfiltered kind of question. First, we'll take up personal branding. Would love to cover that point. I think that's the talk of the town in 2022, personal branding. So whenever I talk to, like, you both have a very tight schedule, right? And whenever I talk to people in corporates, whenever I talk to my own colleagues about personal branding, the only response that I get is, "Yeah, time nahi hai. I don't have time to, create that online content. I don't have time to invest in this. I'm going to the office, and when I'm coming back in the evening, I need to take a break and and on weekends also I need to chill out and all of that." So what made you guys, realize that, okay, now we need to go online and kind of build a kind of person brand as well, because you have thousands of followers on LinkedIn. So starting from you, Mythili, how did you realize, and how important is that?
Right. So it's actually very funny because, like I said, I've been doing marketing for a while now and I've been doing
Right.
marketing for clients. And I always, I've been telling my clients personal branding is very important. You have to do it. And I've seen, the results for them
Right.
firsthand. But I just kind of never did it for myself because I was like, whatever you said, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
I don't know. And also, like, I recently, very, very recently started doing video reels and all of that. Before that, I just wasn't comfortable. I did not want to do it. I was very, very against it. I used to look for, reasons to not do it. But I'm
Right.
okay now. But yeah, I guess, I realized that I need to start doing it because one, I didn't want to seem like a hypocrite, if that makes sense, because this is what I'm selling. This is what I'm telling other people that they should do, and even
Right.
like, for example, let's say I get on a sales call and I talk to this person and they're very impressed and they want to work with us. And then they look at my LinkedIn and there's nothing there. And,
Hmm.
that's, why I started. And I'm very glad that I started because I've seen the results, obviously, and LinkedIn and Twitter. It's very, very great places to be at.
Right.
Yeah.
And how do you manage your time? I mean, you have a very tight schedule. So is there a team helping you, or how have you managed to, create those videos and push it out?
I do have a team. I cannot do it on my own. I don't think I would ever do it, on my own. Yeah, but yeah, I do have a team. So I have someone who helps me shoot the videos, and then we don't do a lot of editing because it's very well shot. But then someone schedules it, and now what also someone does is they kind of someone else on my team, they kind of turn the reels into like a LinkedIn post, and then the LinkedIn post into Twitter, and then those screenshots of the tweets on LinkedIn.
Right.
Yeah, it is a full-time job though. It is, a lot of work. But if you're just starting out, I'd say focus on one platform. And then
Hmm.
when you're ready, to get on the other platform, get people on platform A to follow you on platform B, you know. Yeah.
Right. Amazing, amazing. That's an interesting perspective. We have some questions on marketing, guys. We'll come to marketing, don't worry. Now, Krusha, you have a person brand on Instagram as well. You are creating videos, you are posting out content on writing. You write amazingly well. So, what made you realize that, I need to bring it out online and it will benefit me in some way?
So I think my journey was very organic.
Right.
So Sociable is also an employee advocacy platform.
Mm.
It's a platform that we sell to companies to get them to get their employees to get active on social media and become their brand advocates, right? So
Right.
it was something that I was listening to a lot 5.5 years ago from then.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think it went through the stages very organically. So it started with me sharing just company content that was made available to me. It slowly then went into also sharing industry content that again was made available to me. And then I think over the last 2 years, it went into more organic native content creation. Uh,
Hmm.
I think for me, why it happened, I don't think I had a day or a reason like Medley did, because for me, it was just something I was doing organically. I was not trying to sell my business, right? So I didn't have
Right.
like immediate need to do it, but I knew by seeing how we were telling employees to do it, how it was benefiting my company, how it started subtly benefiting me. Uh,
Hmm.
and I think honestly, if I'm giving a very honest answer, I love writing.
Right.
So for me, Instagram, LinkedIn were just mediums to get that out there, to get my writing out there, because that's what I love most at the purest level. So
Right.
in fact, when you ask about time as well,
Yeah.
I do all of it myself, whether it's content creation or scheduling it, putting it up. So I think over the last year or more on LinkedIn, I've pretty much posted every Monday to Friday. Like there's a post
Right.
that comes up. I think more than a year. I think it's since the pandemic started, if I'm not wrong. I've not kept count.
Right.
Instagram has also been back and forth. There were times when I was posting every day. There were times when I post twice a week. Sometimes, so that keeps changing. Also, the format, I experiment more on Instagram, to be honest, because I'm only doing
Right.
writing content, while my
Hmm.
LinkedIn is a mix of corporate and writing content.
Right.
So yeah, I think for me, I always believe that time is it's just what you want to give time to. So,
Hmm.
uh, of course, there's a limit to the things you can take up, but if you prioritize something uh,
Right.
and you really like doing it, it's not that difficult to make time for it. So
Hmm.
I schedule my posts sometimes for even an entire month. But what I do is every week I recheck the post to see if I'm still aligned with what's being shared, or if I want to change something there, because things change in a week.
Right.
Uh, and I just need that hour where I sit and schedule that content, and how the content is being created is really all the time, because every time I have a conversation, so maybe at the end of this conversation I'm going to be left with a few thoughts,
Right.
or I read something, I love reading, or I listened to a podcast or whatever it was. When I have a thought, I just note down the thought. I've not made it into a postable version of that content, but I
Right.
just put down that thought on my phone. And sometimes if I don't even have my phone, I'll actually find a paper and do anything that thought is put in somewhere,
Right.
so that when
Right.
I'm actually sitting to schedule content, I already have choices. Maybe some of it doesn't make sense anymore when I read it at that time. Or maybe it was not as good a thought as I thought at that moment.
Right.
But most of it does, and then all I have to do is put it into a postable version and schedule. So
Hmm.
again, because I love it, I prioritize it. I see the value in it. So if that's something you want to do, it's like a lot of people say, I don't have time to work out, or I don't have time
Hmm.
to it. But if it's a priority for you, find the time.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
I
and
mean
I
that.
think that's a great tip. So that's something that I started to do too. Kind of like I just have put down whatever I'm thinking on the notes app, and before that I used to WhatsApp it to myself, but now I use the notes app, and that's great. I feel like if you do that, 30 or 40% of the work is done, because you don't have to like sit down once a week and say, okay, what am I going to talk about? Because we have a lot of thoughts. It's just you kind of need to organize.
That's
It doesn't even have to be it just has to kind of like just a trigger word for you to kind of think of what you were thinking about a day ago, 2 days ago.
exactly,
Right.
and the pressure's off also, right? It's not,
Yeah,
because I think if I just sit in front of the laptop today and be like, okay, now I need to create 30 posts, that's going to feel like I
yeah,
don't even know if it'll be as good, and there's just going to be a lot of pressure. So when it's coming
Yeah.
organically with something I've caught in that moment, I think at least that's how it works for me.
Right. Even for me, I mean, when I go through blogs, for example, if I'm going to social media today or SEO journal, I just see an article topic and I see that, okay, can I add some perspective on this and can I share it with my network so that it benefits them? So a lot of people get strangled in this thought that I need to have a proper Notion tab, I need to have a proper Trello board, a proper sheet. You just need your
I've
perspective
done it
and your motive. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. And one more thing is, if these two people can build their personal brand and can take out time, you guys can too. So, if anyone who's watching this and hasn't started this, we would be the happiest person on the planet if you just start putting out content,
That's true.
taking inspiration from this life, right? Now, One more very important question in personal branding. Now, I'd like to flip the perspective. Now, both of you are at a position where you are looking at people's LinkedIn profile as well. You are involved in the hiring decisions as well. So, starting from you, Mythili, whenever you look out for someone, maybe you're looking at someone LinkedIn's profile, what is your perspective that, okay, this guy, I should hire this guy or I should not hire this guy?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. And in fact, we do use LinkedIn to hire. I think LinkedIn's a great place if you're hiring. Out of the 20-25 people that we work with, at least 60 to 70% of the people have come through LinkedIn.
Right.
So of course, like especially because we are a marketing company and, in fact, we do social media. I definitely check if the person is, active on social media. If they're
Hmm.
sharing their thoughts, because if you're doing it, if it comes that naturally to you, then you'll probably be good at your job too. So
Right.
that's definitely one thing. And then I also check, if everything is up to date, if they have a bio. I like to read a little bit about them in the about me section, because that's what you don't find in the resume, but that's what is more important than what you see in the resume. So I do think LinkedIn is like, you know I don't think resumes should exist anymore. LinkedIn is great. I think that's what tells you, what you do, what your interests are, and honestly, also how good you are at your job. So
Right.
these are, I think, two things that I look at. One, if they post often. If yes, what are the posts like? Are they good? Are they written well? Do they spell check? Things like that. Because I think it tells you a little thing or two about a person. And
Right.
also I like to, kind of look at their, bio. So again, building a personal brand is very important. But um, if that's not something that you're doing for whatever reason, which is totally cool, but if you're still applying for jobs on LinkedIn, you have to have a decent, LinkedIn. It's the bare minimum. So that's what I look at.
Right. And this gives us an idea that, having, so people often say that, what should I add on LinkedIn? मेरे पास कुछ है ही नहीं, experience ही नहीं है, what should I add? So, but people don't realize there's so much more. Like, even when you're adding your school, you can add the description of what you did in your schooling period. You can add your certifications, maybe NGOs, maybe you took part in your debates. If you are a college student, you took part in some debates in school. So add that. So having a full, like, filled up LinkedIn profile seems good to look at. So that's
Yeah, and
one very good.
especially, if you're freshers, right? If you're a
Yeah.
fresher, then almost everyone's resume looks the same.
Hmm.
So LinkedIn is where you can really stand out, where you can really shine. So yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Krusha, what's your perspective when you look at someone's LinkedIn profile? How is your screening, and what are the two most important things for you when you look at someone's profile?
So I'd say firstly two aspects of the whole recruitment thing with LinkedIn. Uh,
Yeah.
One I'd say is before I even look at profiles, uh, whenever we are recruiting at the company for any position, all
Hmm.
the employees at our company share that position on their social media. So I think first
Right.
it just helps us get more candidates through social. Like now it's become like digital employee referral instead
Right.
of word of mouth, and that's what we do with a lot of our clients as well. So I'd
Yeah.
say first is that part of it, the whole social recruitment side. Now, when it comes to what I see in a LinkedIn profile when I'm hiring, if I'm being transparent, it is dependent on the role that is being
Hmm.
hired for. Because while, of course, completely understand if I was hiring for exactly the role Bethany was, I would follow pretty much what she said. For me,
Right.
it depends. So if I'm hiring salespeople, yes, it makes a difference. It's not
Hmm.
a deal breaker
Right.
if you're not present, but it definitely is a bonus.
Hmm.
Because I know today, even selling, just like recruitment, selling is also a lot of it is social selling today, right? Especially with the pandemic, it's accelerated even more. I need to know you're going to have the ability to reach out to someone, the right person, and generate a lead for the company. And
Right.
while you can do that, the chances of you getting a response is just higher if you have a better personal brand. And I know that I've seen the difference over the years from the time I started, cold emailing the first time I was doing a sales role.
Yeah.
So sales role, yes, it's a bonus. Maybe if it's a more, a technical role for the product, or even a consulting role, uh, maybe it's less important. But I'd say even there, like in the consulting we were probably not looking at it at all some time ago, and now we're at least looking at it. So I feel like with with, as the years go, every role is going to have that, with maybe the technical roles last on that list. So
Right.
yeah, I think for me it's very role specific, but it is a bonus, not a deal breaker. And it does make life easier for the person who's recruiting you as well. Because
Right.
otherwise you just have the interview to impress the
Yeah.
person who's recruiting you. But if you already have a digital presence,
Mm.
that's done some of that work for you. So you have less pressure to impress in those 30 minutes.
Right, absolutely. So that gives like people who have not been focusing on the LinkedIn profile. Maybe I've seen so many people putting out some great content, but their profile is not updated. So if the like your profile is a landing page, if it is not in sync with your content, then I mean it's a problem. So um, what I get out of this conversation is taking out at least half an hour for your profile, because like people do look at it, founders, recruiters, everyone does have a look at it, and if it's proper, if it's aligned, then you have a better chance over your other peers who might be applying. So that's great. And now I have a lot of marketing questions, so I'll take up a marketing question. There's a very good question and a very common question indeed, that will AI take over digital marketing? Now I'd like to add to this as well. There are two perspectives on this, which this is like this discussion goes on in every agency
Yeah.
or every digital marketing space, that some people say AI is leading to more jobs. When AI is coming, you need more skills to handle those AI, and some people are saying that my job is in danger. In the next 2 years there will be no Google Ads analyst, there will be no Facebook ads expert, everything will be done by the AI machines. So, Krusha, what is your perspective on this statement, and what would you like to tell on this?
Sure. So first, disclaimer, of course, I am not a marketing expert or specialist. While I
Right.
oversee all departments, I
Right.
oversee marketing as well. But in the question that you said, for me, I think both are going to happen. Uh,
Hmm.
what it is dependent on is if you don't upskill, uh, to the new jobs that are going to arrive, then yes, there are jobs that are going to be lost. But it's also about knowing how to transition into the new jobs that are going to come. So
Right.
I think, yes, there are going to be a lot of jobs that are going to go away in the near future. It's going to be, in my opinion, especially hard for a country like India, because we
Hmm.
still have a lot of people working in jobs that we already can probably foresee that have either are on their way out or should have already been on their, already not be here any longer. Like if I even go as simple as today, we have people, we have liftmen. Right?
Hmm.
We have
Right.
people still in buildings, not the new buildings maybe, but we still have a lot of buildings in India, including my own, where we have people who are just in the lift to open the door, and half the time they have to leave the lift so that everybody else can fit, because there's no place for them to be in as well, right?
Yeah.
To just open the door, press a button. And when you go to the newer buildings, already you don't have people in the lift, because you press the button from outside the lift already. It tells you which lift to go to, and then you're doing it. So I'm saying it's already happening. So
Hmm.
when I even see just that, I'm already worried about how are we upskilling these people? How are we,
Right.
getting them skilled enough for the new jobs that are going to come? For how long are we going to move someone from the lift to another part of the building and give them a job for the sake of a job?
Yeah.
After a point, it's all going to come down to upskilling. So I think both the things are going to happen. Uh, Jobs are going to go in the marketing space as well. But
Right.
definitely a lot of new jobs are going to come. Today, people are doing so many jobs that never existed. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
obviously there are going to be jobs even 5 years or 10 years, and I think it's going to accelerate even more. So I think the fine line is the skills. You need to get the skills for the future, and that's the only thing that's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you said it very rightly that 2 3 years back, hardly there were jobs for, let's say, a Google Ads expert or a Facebook Ads expert
Exactly.
working, and
Exactly, it was all
um,
Now
one
it's so
role.
common. Like every other company wants a Google Ads or a Facebook Ads expert or an SEO person or a content writing person.
right.
Yeah. And in fact, like, I read this on LinkedIn this morning,
Hmm.
like a couple of years, not a couple of years ago, but like about 10, 15 years ago, authors, authors, they used to struggle to kind of get paid well. But now, 10 years down the line, sure, authors, I don't know if they, get paid well right now,
I
but
can tell.
content writers make so much money every year, you know.
Right.
It just depends on how you look at it. Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
also, like I think with me, what I think is, first of all, I feel like this is just like a topic that everybody likes to talk about. I've
Yeah.
seen this question on every single live. I don't know, but I guess, like Krusha said, a certain amount of jobs are going to be taken away because of AI, like definitely. So it's your job to kind of, make sure your job isn't something that can be done by a computer. And that the only way you can do that is by upskilling. That's it. But apart from that, it's really nothing to kind of sit down and worry about. Just make sure you're upskilling every day, make sure you're learning new things every day, make sure you're trying new things every day, whether you think AI is going to, take away your job or not, yeah.
Right.
And I think
And
the only thing I want to add there is because every time we say that, we automatically think the only skills we need to upskill is technical.
Yeah.
mhm,
But I think that that's where we go wrong because, in fact, the machine is probably going to be able to do a lot of the technical stuff better than you are. Obviously, you need to upskill and understand how to use it, but they're not
right.
going to be able to do the soft skills, at least in the immediate near future. That's going to take a while. So I would say, even for graduates, except they're starting off, it's great. Everyone's learning how to do it, but what is the differentiator? You need to still know how to negotiate. You need to know emotional quotient. How are you going to lead people in the middle of a pandemic where they don't understand the meaning of their job or their lives anymore? These are skills that I think people need to start thinking of for
Right.
upskilling as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And another great example is Grammarly, right? So I guess if you
Hmm.
think about it, Grammarly, did probably take away jobs of, proofreaders. But then again, Grammarly is not 100% accurate. If you want content that's 100% accurate, very, very well written, you can't just depend on Grammarly. You still need someone who can proofread. But I guess the only difference is that now, because Grammarly is doing, some of the work, whoever your proofreader is, that person has to be really, really good at their job. And the only
Right.
reason, I mean, the only way you get really, really good at your job is by upskilling. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It's a great perspective, and I agree in this. I agree with the same that, for example, if you are doing Google ads, let's just not restrict yourself to Google ads. Try out Facebook ads, Snapchat ads, LinkedIn ads. Try to read blogs about that or get a base out of that. Because let's say, for example, if Google decides to make everything automated, you'll have some other platform where you can just upskill in a comparatively lesser amount of time, and you could start taking up projects there. So great insight there. uh, Now we have a question that kind of binds personal branding and marketing, by Cherry. He's asking, while building a personal brand on LinkedIn, what percentage of content should be educational and what percentage should be entertaining? Now this question applies to brands as well, because I've seen so many people being confused that if I put out too much educational content about my product or service, people will get bored. If I put too much entertainment, am I compromising on my brand vision, values, and am I diluting that? So, Mythili, what is your perspective on this question?
So first of all, I think that's a great question. And honestly, it's the first of all, there has to be like a good mix, because you can't, if you're only talking about educational content, or if you're only talking about yourself, nobody likes someone who only talks about themselves. So there has to
Right,
be content that's entertaining or inspiring, or just stuff that's not all about you. But I guess, it doesn't really have to be like a percentage. I'm going to do 50% this, 50% that, and it doesn't have to be like that. I guess, do what you think is right, see what's working, and then test it with, the other things. And it also depends on your goal, right? So if you're trying to sell, if that's your, ultimate goal, then what
right,
kind of content is getting you sales while not, coming off as like a very, very salesy brand. So it's also that. And again, with entertaining content, there are a lot of people that build personal brands as entertainers. So it's very, very specific, and it really depends on what works for you. So just test and don't try and see, okay, this is what worked for this person and this brand, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Yeah.
right. And do you think, I mean, as of now, memes are the talk of the town. Memes get the maximum engagement, and some brands are very confused. Even personal brands, talking about both brands and personal brands, they're very confused. Like they have a question as well. if I share memes, am I bringing down the value of my profile, or should I stick to just one form of content, or should I, do memes and those infotainment kind of stuff? So
Yeah.
Mythili,
So I think, like this, a lot more people now are okay with, memes. I think like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, people would be like, no, I don't want to be, I mean, I don't want to post memes. I don't want my brand to kind of be a joke. But now people get it because, it's
right,
more and more common. So I love memes. I can't make memes, but fortunately, like a few people on my team can. So I take advantage of that, but it works really great. And I do think, brands should take advantage of that. And also one more thing, another thing with memes is it looks very native. It doesn't look like an ad. It looks like something, a friend would post or a meme page that you follow would post, which is why it gets a lot of engagement. It gets a lot of love. So
right.
yeah.
Absolutely. So I also believe in the same. I mean, infotainment is the content that people want. No one wants knowledge only. As of today, no one. Everyone wants that masala of maybe a Bollywood clip or some famous clip that's going on, and that can engage your users more. So Krusha, now asking I'll ask this from a content writing perspective. You have told that you never wanted to sell yourself as a content writer. You just loved writing, and that's how you started. So, and you also said that gave you opportunities as well. So, do you think having some kind of selling content helps, or even when you don't do that selling kind of content, that is fine?
Sure, I think that's a great question. Um, Maybe so. One, I'll say again, from when we sell sociables to companies,
Hmm.
when we are training their employees to get active on social media, which is part of what we do with our consultants, we
Right.
do give them a disclaimer, of course, that if you're only going to keep resharing company content, it's not going to
Hmm.
work. And that's the dialogue we have to first have with the company project owners before the employees, because they, of course, their goal is to make sure all their employees are talking about their brand. But why does employee advocacy work? Employee advocacy truly works when your employees are truly being brand advocates, when it's organic, when it's engaging. And people are going to find that content engaging only if uh, they're not only talking about that. There's other content and people can engage with. Otherwise, it's as good as an ad, but in the sense of your employee, right?
Right.
So there's definitely that side of it. Now, when it comes to me, when I say I wasn't selling, in the sense I wasn't selling anything I had separately built. I wasn't selling. I'm not selling so far. My own content writing skills or coaching or anything I'm doing right now. I'm creating content, but I haven't begun to sell any of it at this point.
Right.
Um,
Right.
of course, I'm still selling Sociable. While
Yeah.
it's the company that I brought here that I don't own, but I own it from an emotional standpoint. I brought it here, and it's something I'm focused on growing. And I am an intrapreneur, or a representative of the company. So I do about one post at least. Generally about one post a week, unless we have something more to say that week that is sociable related, which
Right.
probably could translate into someone else who's selling, right? If you're selling even something you're doing on your own, it's a similar thing. I am talking about what the company's achieved, or a case study, or something of that sort. For
Hmm.
the rest of it, I generally do a mix, because Pink Thread is, we didn't talk much about it, but Pink Thread is an initiative we started that at the moment is non-profit. It's just where we so far have just been telling stories of women in corporate India, because that's something that's very close to my heart. Uh,
Right.
so that, talking about content related to that subject, that might not be very entertaining. It could also be a little bit on the educational space. Sometimes it's in the form of a story. But I know that
Right.
that's a big part of my content bank, because that's something I think about. That's something that's aligned with my purpose in whatever way it'll show up in the future. I don't know. So I'm building that. Uh,
Right.
I have now started talking about, there's a mix of content related to writing and coaching, because
Hmm.
writing is something I love. So I hadn't tried, for example, video content. I think I tried it just last week was one video, and this week was one video. I've just put out two videos on
And it
LinkedIn.
got viral.
It did well, touch wood. There was more on text, but I just started putting the same content that I would put. I used to do this thing called a Friday reminder. That's just purely motivational, but it's something I write myself comes from my writing, and I just tried putting it out on video. So I think now, given the stats, I should probably continue doing the Friday ones on video. We try. So
Right.
the writing bit, and then that kind of merges between the pink thread, the whole women's thing that I really am very passionate about, my writing. And I've just enrolled for a coaching course that started today, in fact, because I'm just studying for a year with that in the weekend, because I really know that at some point I want to start working with women in India to empower them, because I just hate what the statistics look like. And I feel like our country and everyone can do better if the women are really growing and chasing their dreams. So
Love that.
I'm glad. So yeah, I think that's my content mix, if you ask me. But like Mythili said, it's not always a very concrete percentage.
Right.
But I do try to cover the things that obviously make sense to where I'm heading, where I'm at, and what I want to do, and not just talking for the sake of talking.
Right, absolutely. That's a great thing that you're doing, and you have a great vision, first of all, for the women of this country. So we all appreciate you for that. And also, like as you both told, that there's no set rules for content creation or what you love. I mean, if you feel like creating 3 videos in a day, go ahead and post it. Like I see a lot of people who are just coming into online content creation in whatever field it might be, finance, marketing, sales, whatever. They try to get so many details first, that what is the right mix, what is the right number, what is the right time, what is the right platform. I mean, just open LinkedIn, just start posting, just open Twitter, start posting, and you'll figure out down the line. I mean, I was posting news articles to start off with. I used to copy in short news and just paste it on LinkedIn. I did this for a month, and I got 1 like in 30 days. So and then eventually, I mean, I got to know that okay, marketing is my thing, so I should post marketing content. And then the journey went on. So great insight there. Now, Maithili, I have a question for you regarding marketing. um, and it's a very important question, that you interact with a lot of marketers in the industry. You get to know a lot of perspectives about marketing. What do you think marketers are doing wrong in 2022, or where are they going wrong according to you?
I think that's a very good question. So I think one is, definitely people like especially new people. I see that they don't look at data, when they're
Hmm.
making decisions. They just do something because they think it's the right thing, but they're not really looking at data. Like for example, if you're running an ad, and this is very common with startup founders. They have like these very 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 well shot video ads. They spend a lot of money creating these video ads, and then you run it, it doesn't do well. You have to change it. But people don't want to do that simply because it looks nice, but it's not
Right.
getting the results. So I think that's one thing. Like for example, you never know, like when you're running video ads, you could run a meme as a creative, and it could get you more sales or more whatever your objective is, versus if you're using like a very very well shot video ad. So I think that's one thing that one mistake that people have been making for a very long time now, like not making data driven decisions.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right. That's a great point, and I see so many people not leveraging Google Analytics for their website. I mean, what are you doing when you don't have the data of users coming to your website? So, as you said, data, and I see a lot of people not ready to invest in data itself. Like they
Yeah.
want leads or conversions right from the start. They don't have a perspective, that no one says that I want data. Everyone says I want conversion. So initially, like, data will be a gold mine. You'll realize it down the line, but at the start also it's important to realize that data is very important. I mean, a user who's coming from a particular demographic, if you see, let's say Chennai is more converting, you create a campaign for it and scale it up. So that's a great perspective there. Now we have a question on content writing, which I'll direct to you, Krusha. Piyush is asking, is it a good choice to outsource content writing to promote your brand? So would love to know the power of content writing when it comes to like the copywriting and the brand marketing side of things.
Sure. So I think firstly, I'm connected with so many amazing writers on LinkedIn, and I know they do an amazing job for a lot of people. So it's
Right.
definitely a choice. And if it's something that you want to do, I think the best thing is there's so much. All of them put out a lot of free content, right? We all put out a lot of free content on LinkedIn, so they all put out a lot of free content on LinkedIn. That
Right.
you can go see, you can get an understanding of their writing style. You can probably attend lives, workshops, and that's a lot of things without even a paid monetary investment that will help
Right.
you assess whether if it's the right fit for you, and then who is the right fit for you. Uh,
Right.
that is my general opinion. When it comes to me personally, it's not something I do simply because I love writing. So I just love the process of doing this. I think without that, the personal brand would make only 40% of sense for me. 60% writing and 40% is what everything else that happens because of it. So
Right.
personally, it's not something I think ever do just as a writer. But I do think there's a lot of amazing writers on LinkedIn doing that. So I would let you assess that for yourself and check all the resources they have.
Right. That's very good perspective, and would love to know, like, would you have that vision of coming up with maybe workshops, or kind of do you have you given a thought about it, or is it something out of the picture?
Honestly, I get new ideas all the time. So I think every time I have a new idea, I have to first like look at my schedule and be like, okay, maybe not right now. So I think
Right.
never say never. It is. I don't know what it would look like exactly, or but whenever I'm fully convinced that I have the bandwidth and I'll be truly adding value by doing something of that sort. Definitely. But like I said, right now, over the weekdays, I focus on social. I am creating content on LinkedIn and Instagram. I am starting to learn how to coach, from today
Right.
is something I started. And I run the pink thread and, interview people and write their stories. So I feel like while maintaining the work-life balance, I really prioritize. Like it's on my LinkedIn profile as well. I get my 8 hours of sleep every day.
Right.
So that's just who I am. I spend a lot of time with my family. I talk to my friends. I need to eat right. I need to work out. These are a lot of things that are important to me. So whenever I think one thing is done, like maybe once I finish coaching and then I need to see what that looks like and maybe what writing looks like at that point, because I'm also
Right.
writing a fiction book. And so there's a few things in the pipeline. So maybe once I have that in order and I truly have the bandwidth to add value
Right.
to people, it's only then that I would take it up.
Right, absolutely. And we are always looking forward to, workshops and all those sessions coming from you, because I believe you have a lot to share, and definitely looking forward to that. Uh, now, I have one last question, and there's a fun game at the end as well. So we'll come to that. But one last question on marketing that I have, and it's also a question asked by the audience, and it's for you, Maithili, that. Uh, a lot, I mean, there's a lot of saturation in the market. Let's say skincare, Nykaa is there, Nivea is there, so many big players in the market are there. If a brand is just starting out in the, let's say, skincare industry or in any other industry, how do you think marketing, like, what should be the approach towards marketing strategy to stand out and create that, mark in that saturated market, according to you?
That's a great question. So, first of all, when you're starting a new brand, right? For example, let's say skincare brand. First things first, you need to understand that if you're a new brand and if you're bootstrapping or if it's like a small brand that you're just starting,
Hmm.
Nykaa is not your competition. Lakme is not your competition. You don't even have to think about them. How much money they make or how many products they sell is not going to affect your brand whatsoever. That's the
Right.
first thing. Because I hear that a lot. Like I hear people say, oh, I'm starting this clothing brand and my competitors Fab India. It's not.
Hmm.
Like sure, maybe someday it will be, but right now it's not, and that should not even be, that should be like your last concern.
Right.
So that's the first thing. And how to stand out is, I guess, you have to kind of think about building a close community, because that's what works right now, and that's what the future is, communities, right? So that's what you have to do, leverage and really build a community. And and I guess right now, even if you're doing skincare, what in skincare, have a very, very niche brand. And I guess that's what will help you grow initially before you start scaling. And I guess that's
Right.
a mistake that I made when I was, doing Pink Flamingo, because this, again, I was very young, so it's totally cool. But when I started, I was like, oh, I like skirts, so I'm gonna, make skirts.
Right.
Back then, like 5 6 years ago, skirts didn't do very well, and I was like, okay, so I am, 17, so I'm going to make clothes for people who are also 17, 18, 19, 20, which
Yeah.
is great. But then again, these are the people that don't have money, they don't make that decision. If they want a new pair of jeans, they probably have to ask their parents. So it's a hard audience to sell to. So I guess these
Right.
are the things that you have to think about before, you start. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's a great perspective, and I agree with this. That I mean, when you say that Nika has so much budget, I don't have that kind of budget. First of all, there's no competition. Like, why are you even comparing when you know that there's a huge difference between, and even the vision part that you talked about. I mean, other brands might have different vision. You have your own vision, so it's better to market that vision and market your story instead of marketing just your product or service in your target market, right?
Yeah.
So that's a great thing. Now coming to the fun game, so I do this at the end of the session. I ask one or two questions, like it's a choose. You have to choose one out of the two. Just whatever you think, but that comes to your mind, you can just choose one out of the two. And uh, so first is for Mythili, you. I'll ask you two or three questions and let's see what comes to your mind.
Okay.
What would you prefer, 10 small clients or one big client?
One big client.
Okay. 1 crore or mental peace?
Mental peace.
Okay,
But
mental
then again,
peace.
if 1 crore is what gives you the mental peace, then I don't know. But yeah, right now I pick mental peace.
Right. Money, business, or fashion?
Business.
Business. That's a smart answer because it kind of binds
Yeah.
all of the three there. Would you hire someone with average technical skills, good soft skills, or a person with good technical skills and average kind of soft skills?
I think the first option, because a person can be trained on, technical skills. But then again, if I had the choice, I'd want to hire someone who has great soft skills and technical skills.
Right, absolutely. One last question, LinkedIn or Twitter as a platform and as a community?
I just started posting on Twitter. It's been a month. So I don't know, but I've heard a lot of good things about Twitter. For now, I'm going to say LinkedIn, because LinkedIn has the sales navigator, which is great. So I feel like, when you're doing outbound and when you have the sales navigator, you are in control and you're not really looking for, inbound leads. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I guess for now, I'll say
Right.
LinkedIn, but ask me again in a year and I don't know, we'll see.
Absolutely. So that was a great round. You had some quick and smart answers to give. So thank you so much for that. Now coming to you, Krisha, some questions for you. Uh, and we also have a comment. Twitter is amazing. So yeah, maybe your answer will change after 1 year. But let's see. For
Hearing that
you,
so much today. I have zero presence on Twitter. I feel like.
for you, Krisha, and definitely you should have a Twitter is the platform for you, definitely. So we are looking
Oh
forward to
yeah, I
that.
think you do great at Twitter.
Exactly. First question for you, Krisha, is numbers or impact?
Impact.
Definitely. LinkedIn or Instagram as a platform and community? Now, this is going to be a tough one, I feel.
Honestly, I in fact started Instagram first, but if I'm being very honest, I'd say LinkedIn. Uh, Only because I'll give you my reasoning also. LinkedIn,
Yeah,
I can do what I do best, which is just write. Uh, Instagram algorithms need you to do a lot of things. So,
Yeah.
right. Absolutely.
I feel like LinkedIn is a little bit low maintenance.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I mean, even I have experienced that. I mean, no doubt, I'd also prefer LinkedIn any day. Um, out of all the other platforms, because I think the value plus the support plus kind of the perspective that you get on LinkedIn is on Twitter as well. You get those perspectives, but LinkedIn is the first love always.
Also, the audience is very different,
Yeah.
especially when you compare an Instagram and a LinkedIn. Uh,
Right. Instagram is about entertainment, more of that
you
entertainment
have
kind
to
of thing.
entertain on Instagram, and I think
Yeah.
LinkedIn is also a little more in a lot of ways, even from the way it counts its followers, right? It counts its connections as well, which is not the case
Right.
in any other platform, which goes to show it's also just about there's a lot of giving to take, which I like. It's
Right.
also about like, the more you comment on people's posts, the more you interact, the more you talk to them in your DMs. These are all things that impact how much you grow. So I like that.
Right. Exactly. And what would you prefer? Like, you have done your studies from Singapore. What do you prefer, like studying in India or going outside does have an impact, or it doesn't matter?
Okay, I'm going to be completely transparent. Let's say from an education point of view, probably not. But it did change and like start the second a new phase in my life going abroad because it just expanded my horizon, meeting people. But like I'm doing my coaching course that I started today with
Right.
13 people in the batch. I'm doing it from India because I mean the company is in India and Dubai and in London as well. But there are people, the 13 people are from all over the world. And I'm just so excited by that because I'm learning with someone from South Africa and someone from Kuwait and someone from Netherlands. So I think that is the path that you can get it in India as well. I guess if you just maybe go out of your comfort zone in whatever way. So I'd say
Right.
it's not that then where you're going.
Right. Absolutely. Now, the last question, and I've tried to make it as tough as I can. Um, Writing or career?
Writing, if I'm being very honest. Like, of course, I have to pay the bills, so if at some point I can, but I feel like I trust myself. If I had to, then I'd make writing pay the bills. But at the moment, I don't want to put the pressure on me. But I choose
Right.
writing. I don't think I can. I don't know how to deal without writing because I even for my personal life, I process anything and everything by writing, so I can't do without.
Right, absolutely. So that's great. You have also answered all the questions perfectly, and thank you so much for that. And it kind of brings to the us to the end of the session. Had a great time, you both. It was amazing interacting with you, and I got to learn a lot. I'm sure the audience would have got to learn a lot. So thank you so much for taking our time, both of you.
Thank you
But
so much. This was really fun.
it really was. I got to learn a lot too, especially about marketing. So thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
And thank you, audience, as well. Take care of yourselves. We wish you health, and we wish you a good person branding journey after this. So much, guys. Ending the stream. Take care.